Ladies, gentlemen, and friends beyond the binary, welcome to the Discourse for today, Friday, the 13th of January, 2023. I'm your host, Tristan, and quick thing to note before we start. This is going to be a bit of a shorter stream today. If you look at this mess I've got going on the top of my head, I need to film the next Step Back video on Monday, which means that I need to get a haircut. And the only time that I was able to get one is about 15 minutes after my stream normally ends, and it takes me about an hour to walk there. So I'm going to wrap up at around 1, and we'll kind of go from there. Just to give you guys a quick wrap up of the opening stuff, I am Tristan, the host of Step Back, and It's Probably Not Aliens, and I stream on Fridays at noon, which is what you're watching right now. You can support my work by going to nebula.tv/stepback or to patreon.com/stepbackhistory. Nebula, you get a bunch of extra content, not by just me, but tons of other content creators. You can also use your Amazon Prime to give one free Twitch Prime subscription per month. And if you are watching on Twitch and you have Amazon Prime, I'd be happy to have it. No extra cost to you. If you have things like Super Chats, Bits, and Twitch subscriptions, also very welcome. Next, the latest video I have is called The Political Compass Must Die. A very fun video. And my next video should be coming out in a few days. If in a number of days to a week, I hope. We'll see. But it's going to be about... the title of the video is There Have Always Been Trans People. That's the title of the video. And I'm pretty excited for it, so... the script is I'm pretty happy. I just finished the script yesterday, so I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, good stuff. If you want to submit questions for this stream or future streams, probably future streams. We got a handful of questions, and but either way, we hang on to them for a month, so don't worry about getting lost in the crowd. And yeah, if there's any, put a link in the chat where you can go to ask those questions. And if this is your first time here, please make yourself known. We have a very welcome community that would love to have you around. Okay. I think that is the fastest I've gotten through the spiel in less than 3 minutes. Okay. So let's get Mia up in here.
Hello?
Hello!
Perfect. I can hear you. Everything is going according to plan.
Yes. Dial
One.
M for Mulder. You arrived.
Okay. Now everything works on my end. Hi everyone. Good evening.
Yes, good
Evening.
good part of a day, whatever it is where you are, in the dark line of Sweden, where it is probably at this point you probably only get at this point of the year I don't think you get any daylight, or barely any, right?
Barely, yeah. I haven't seen the sun in 2 months.
Yeesh. Yeah,
It's great.
It's fun. So you should probably tell though people who is this and what do you do there?
My name is Mia Mulder. I make YouTube videos that I think are fun.
And sometimes you
a
speak
podcast
Norwegian.
called Leech Fest.
Yeah.
That's true. I sent you. I spoke some very bad Norwegian for you.
You're the closest person to a
your next
Norwegian
video.
that I know.
That's as close as anyone needs to know on Norwegian, I feel like.
Yeah. So
I say that as someone who went on vacation to Norway.
yeah, I think I saw some pictures. Good times.
Yeah.
I heard you got hurt a little bit.
Oh yeah, I got fucked up.
Oh,
Turns
man.
out skiing is very dangerous.
I've heard that about skiing.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you just strap a few slippery boards into your feet and go down a mountain. Fun.
And fight off the Soviets. That's Finnish skiing, sorry.
That's Finnish skiing, exactly.
So how you been? This is your first time here in the big old 20-23.
I've been good. I've spent like most of winter honestly like sick. So that's been fun.
Me
Um,
too.
yeah, I love flu season. So much fun. No, but I've been good. I've been, doing the usual things, trying to get back to work slowly. So slowly starting to like do podcast recording, slowly starting to do video recording again. Trying to get back into the regular of it.
Hmm.
How have you been?
Not bad. I mostly spent. I what's it called? Baby went to daycare, so I'm just rounding out the second week of him being in daycare, which means that I can actually
Yep.
work again full time. And I don't know. I put out like I've just finalized today a 5 point something thousand word script in a couple weeks, so I feel pretty good about that.
Fun.
And this is a video I've been very excitedly getting ready to work on, or getting ready to come out for months now. So I'm pumped to film and edit next week. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
And yeah,
I still need to record the segment that you have asked me to do.
yes, I asked you to do some Magnus posting.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to do that. I'll probably do that sometime next week, as quick as I can, and then send that over.
Yeah, I couldn't have a step back video that mentions Magnus Hirschfeld without you interrupting the signal and Magnus posting for me.
I mean, how often do you get to how often do you get to like how often are you invited to Magnus Post?
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely. I gotta take the opportunity.
Yeah, and I got a bunch of fun guests, like Adequate Emily is going to read a medieval poem about gender dysphoria,
Oh, that's fun.
and Jesse Gender's going to do a line by Christine Jorgensen.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, she's an interesting historical character. Yeah, that's fun.
So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting way to do the thing.
I love Christine Jorgensen because she's like you see the headline and you see sort of like clickbaity articles about her, and you're like, oh damn, that's so cool. I love that for her. She sounds like a really cool, fun person. And then you read about like her opinions on other trans people, and you're like,
Maybe have to amend that
Other-
section a bit.
No, I mean, this is like lore that you don't really need to know unless you're like a nerd whose special interest is trans people. So
I guess I'm not great at the lore yet, but did I misremember? Have I already made a trans people in history video? Yes, kind of. I made a video called "The Gender Binary Is Not Normal" a long time ago, and this is sort of, it definitely overlaps with it a bit, but it's not the same. Alrighty. But yeah, we are on a Christine Jorgensen is a land of contrasts. Yeah, there you go.
she contains multitudes.
She contains multitudes. But this is a attenuated stream because I have to get an emergency haircut. So
An emergency haircut. What the fuck does that mean?
okay, so I'm filming on Monday, and I haven't gotten a haircut in over a month, and I look kind of shaggy. And the barber that I see is only available to see me today, and the next time that she could see me was like after filming. And the only time that she had available was like 15 minutes after the stream is usually over, and it takes about an hour to walk there because she's downtown. So I gotta like finish this up and then go like hoof it downtown to go get an emergency haircut.
That's amazing. I need to have that too, actually. Not today, but very soon. I do also need an emergency haircut. It's true.
Do you?
I love it's so fun to be a YouTuber because like it's a very normal job 90% of the time, and then some days you're like, oh, I have to buy this weird prop and also get a haircut this specific day, or my next week is fucked.
Yeah, I think I remember there was a video. There was one video. I think it was like an old Sarah Zed video where she was like, I actually planned on filming this later in the week, but then I went to Sephora and they gave me the whole Sephora treatment, and I was like, well, I can't just look like this and not film a video, so I'm doing it a bit early. And I was like, I don't know. I've never been to Sephora, but I think that they give you free makeup.
Yeah.
Doing your makeup.
Yeah, they can give you a whole thing if you want to. But I think that's more common in America, because whenever I go to Sephora, they look at me as if I'm scum, because I believe that like service workers in the US and service workers in Europe are have very different outlooks, because service workers in the US have to be nice to you or they get fired, whereas here we have unions and like good worker protections, so service workers can rightfully look at their customers with disdain. So I don't go to Sephora, unfortunately. I've reached a point in YouTubing now where I've hired a friend who's a makeup artist to come over to my house to give me a custom makeup job, so that I actually don't look like a complete clown, which I would do if I made my own.
I should probably invest in some of it so that I don't look like I haven't slept in 78 years every time I film. But that's just me.
Well, here's the thing, right? The hidden costs of patriarchy is that you're gonna look fine. You don't need makeup, right? Like you look fine. Whereas if you are feminine coded on YouTube, and you look like you went out of bed, you're like,
Yeah. Although I would love to not always look like Stu Pickles when he's mixing what's it called? Mixing pudding at 4 a.m. Because I've lost control of my life.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. Anyways, questions. You have them. We got answers. Theoretically.
Theoretically, we're good at improving like we have answers.
Yes. We're like ChatGPT but with jokes. Okay.
And the programming is off, so we start talking about Star Trek.
Yes.
For half of the prompt.
We're like an early version of ChatGPT that takes your question and then uses it to just talk about random bullshit that we want to talk about instead. The first one has to do with the Swedish Social Democrats, so this should be fun. Or should I say,
fun.
So Mia, are the Swedish Social Democrats, the orientation, not necessarily the party, as bad about the homeless as American ones are now? Because it looks like the Young Turks want to advocate for the LAPD to jam the homeless into wood chippers at this point.
Christ. I don't think the Swedish Social Democrats are as bad, right? Like they're not great. But I feel like social democracy as an ideology in the US and social democracy in Europe are very different from each other. Mm-hmm. Because social democracy, here's my theory, right? I feel like in the modern American political landscape, where socialism is unheard of, it's getting back now, right? But like socialism was basically unheard of. Social democracy, like, became established as an ideology that sprung out of like establishment Democrat, like progressive politicians and people who were like center left and sort of reached a little bit more lefty, roughly. Whereas in Europe, social democracy is a thing that like was sprung out from like revolutionary communist movements. So like they may have ended up sort of in the same wheelhouse, but they have very different origins, and I think that those origins sort of like color some of their perceptions on various social issues. So that's why I've noticed that like a lot of American social democrats will talk about like homelessness and wanting to protect the market and wanting to talking about like a lot of social issues as if they are just like regular liberals. Whereas social democrats in Europe are going to be like partially that, but also like you'll have like liberals and socialists together more likely, whereas in the US it's mostly just liberals.
That makes
So
sense.
not as bad, but could be better.
Yeah.
I have to watch what I say now because I work with this political party like
Oh,
like on a
man.
real practical level. I share a wall with the leader of the Social Democrats in my municipality. Like he sits like a meter behind me in the office. So like if I start talking shit about the Social Democrats, which I often do, like now I have to be accountable. This sucks.
It is rough.
I have to say shit.
I'd be terrible at being in such a position.
Honestly, I'm surprised they even let me run, but here we are.
Yeah, I remember I made a video kind of on that subject years ago that I think I need to make a new version of, which was why is there no left wing in American politics? And oh boy, did people not like that. People were not fans of that one.
Oh no.
It did very well, but most Americans were like, what are you talking about? And so the most fun one is I got a lot of comments that were like, what are you talking about? The Republicans and Democrats are both left-wing parties. And I was like, oh honey.
Oh honey, sweetie, baby.
It's actually like kind of wild how little of a political education a lot of Americans, especially like kind of boomer Americans, have.
Oh yeah. And the fact, yeah, like if you even try to sort of like suggest that maybe there should be some sort of political education, people lose their minds, being like, well, education should be non-biased and non-partisan. And just like, yeah, but
you should
you
learn
about
political
the
terms are.
basics of what the terminology means and shit.
Yeah, you should just learn what words mean. There's another thing that's true in America about like the American quote unquote left is that a lot of, because of three-letter organizations basically, the left in the 1960s and 70s came out of like the sort of student movement, which was basically a movement of people who cared a lot about civil rights and social issues with an explicit disregard for class and economic issues. Because it was made up of sort of young, white, boomer, professional, managerial class people, but who came out of a university education and entered into a sort of activist scene because of the Vietnam War. And all of the other ones, like, say, the Black Civil Rights Movement, the LGBTQ+, like the gay rights movement, the American Indian movement, the sort of Chicano movement, all of those had a whole bunch of interesting people on the inside fomenting basically self-destruction through various means. And a lot of them ended up arrested for really bullshit stuff, or just ended up getting shot a whole lot.
A lot of suspicious suicides.
Oh yeah, committing suicide by being shot 6 times in the back, yeah.
Yeah, the classic method.
Or like that head of the Black Panthers who like had like the police basically turn his house into Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
So the only surviving in a sort of like, why do Americans why are American political movements so devoid of class? You just show that picture of the freaking airplane, right? Because all the ones that did talk about class don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it has actually hurt the left so much that American socialists are now terrified of the feds or the CIA because they've just been messed with so much.
Yeah. Like I think this is also like a big part of why the left infights so much, because everyone accuses each other of like being a fed.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's a lot of time where there was a lot of feds.
Yeah.
The worst part is that it's kind of true. I don't know if it's true anymore. I don't know what the feds do anymore, but yeah.
Oh, they for sure are doing some shit.
Yeah.
Like, for sure.
There is definitely one political leftist Twitch streamer who I would not be surprised at all if I found out he was a fed. Because he seems explicitly designed to tear this place apart. with the just worst possible takes a human being can have. But anyways,
Scientifically, like made in a lab.
yeah, like weaponized toxic takes. Yeah. So next question we got here is, I mentioned this before, but you should really look into. Okay, that's not a question. That's just a command. Okay. Thank you for.
I love it when people give us commands on what to do.
The question is, do this.
Yeah, I love that. That's so fun when people do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so salty. I don't know why. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's intense. We had a whole conversation at Christmas. At my son's birthday party, because we have a couple friend that have a baby that's about 6 months younger than our baby.
Huh?
So we pass on all of his stuff to them, but they're Germans. Like they immigrated here from Germany. And we had a conversation about, because they were making one of them bakes a lot. And him and I were talking about how he had an Amazon package stolen because he bought food grade lye off of like Amazon, and somebody stole the package. And I'm like, they're going to think it's drugs, and it's going to be a very bad situation for them, because he was making like, I think like focaccia, like one of those breads where you have to boil it in lye for it to work.
Oh God.
And when talking about doing things to food with lye, the topic of Sweden came up. And we just kind of had a whole talk about Scandinavians and how they do terrible things to fish. And I got to explain surströmming to a bunch of people who had never heard of it before.
Oh, amazing. I love that. If we ever get to meet each other physically, I have to give you one, but I have to actually find a way to get it to Canada, because you can't bring it on planes.
Yeah. The only thing that will make things tough for me with surströmming is how it's eaten traditionally. Not because I hate fish, even though rotten fish sounds awful. It's that I don't like onions. I really don't like onions, especially raw onions. And I know that you have to basically eat surströmming with onions and potatoes or something.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. On flatbread.
Mm-hmm.
Put some flatbread on, some nice butter, put some surströmming, some potatoes, and some, like, you can have some spring onion. It doesn't have to be like red onion, but you can have like spring onion with the potatoes. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely on a list of weird European foods. It's definitely a Karzu Marzu weird, but it's which is illegal in Sardinia, so. There's a black market in Europe for this is the most European thing I'd ever heard. A black market for illegal cheese.
Yes.
And it's because
we have cheese conventions like every other month.
Yeah, because
like in every single like major like habitation area.
Yeah. But they have a black market for cheese because people really want to eat this cheese that's filled with live maggots that can possibly infest your stomach. And it's like, oh, cool. I can't think of a cheese that's tasty enough for that amount of risk, but okay.
Yeah, I would not. I wouldn't.
Why is it half the time I catch the stream it's about surströmming?
It's good fish.
Because it's bad fish. Okay. So, let's see. Let's go with, all right. Hey, Tristan and Mia. As leftists, we want to advocate for a shorter work week, or a non-existent one, possibly. And I think it makes sense for most industries, but I have a hard time imagining us organizing labor to shorten work hours for some of our necessary human services. Nursing, doctors, and teachers come to mind, who either provide 24-hour care to their patients, while teachers are constantly either teaching, lesson planning, or grading so much that their work-life balance is completely fucked. Is there any reading material you recommend on this topic, or would you have any ideas to share on imagining a world with less exploitation for these workers? Yeah, the main reason is hire more of them. Like, a lot of nurses and doctors would not be overworked to the point where they're quitting in droves if they worked less hours, and if you hired just more of them to cover those shifts. Same with teachers and school. Like, I think that this will be a little spicy, but I think kids are in school too long mostly. Doesn't Sweden do the 4-day work week now?
Not it's not a universal thing, but like it's some municipalities do a 4-day work week for some professions. So like in elder care and nursing specifically, like a lot of like 6-hour work days or 4-day work weeks have been implemented for specifically nurses, and it's had pretty good results.
Yeah.
Like it's been pretty good.
I think that I mean their jobs are. I feel like every hour worked as a nurse should count as like 4 hours in any other job. It's like one of the most intense and like hard jobs that there are.
Oh yeah.
So
Like we like as YouTubers, we do not like dedicate a lot of like physical or mental energy to an hour of our work.
yeah,
I like to think.
imagine doing tons and tons of grunt work, and then doing like a majority of the stuff to help keep people alive, and then you don't always keep people alive, but you also get zero respect for the work you do.
Yeah. And also shit pay.
And shit pay.
Like, like no wonder there's a nursing shortage, because who would want to be a nurse?
Mm-hmm. And because the nursing profession is so it gets such a bad career to be in, the only people who do it end up becoming either saints or Satan. You don't get anybody in between.
Yeah.
You get either the wonderful nurses who took care of us when our baby was born, or you get the TikTok nurse who danced when somebody couldn't breathe.
Oh God, I missed that.
That was the last discourse. That was one of the last discourses before COVID.
Wonderful.
And yeah,
Although I've seen a lot of nurses like dance on TikTok. I feel like that's a whole
TikTok, yeah, nurse TikTok is now becoming its own like cursed genre.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it has to do with like casual cruelty towards certain things. It's not great.
Yeah.
But there are also really, really great nurses, and the profession is one that is very undervalued because it's a pink collar field, and those jobs always don't get valued very much.
Those jobs always suck ass.
Yeah. So yeah, make them work less, pay them more, and what's it called? Yeah, just hire more of them. That's the trick.
Yeah.
All right. Solved it. Just do that, and then you've got
Fix
it.
that.
I don't get why people think political problems are so hard. We fix problems all the time. We just fixed healthcare.
Yeah. Like, what do you mean? Just hire more people.
Mm-hmm.
And also pay them better.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's like a lot of the time it really is this fucking easy though. Like, because a lot of like healthcare companies will have like executives that earn like millions of dollars, and like and enough money where you could still like reduce their pay significantly, and they would still be like millionaires and like live in extreme luxury, but you would be able to hire like 10 more nurses or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could, like it really is this fucking easy sometimes, but like, no.
Yeah, there's so much.
Executives gotta have more money.
So much of like policy wonkery and like policy like analysis and stuff like that. It seems to be doing immense amount of work to be able to solve all of the social problems of the world without doing the one obvious thing that would work, but it would involve money going away from rich people and going towards working class people. They're like, that is a non-answer. So now we have to find some sort of, top solution about how sending people letters saying your friends all paid their taxes. Why haven't you? To make people pay their taxes more when taxing Amazon, anything, instead of actually giving them negative taxes might be like a better route to go down.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. When will the new episode of Probs Not Aliens be dropping? Well, I have good news for you, Danarchist. The next episode of It's Probably Not Aliens is out on Nebula. It came out on Tuesday on Nebula, and it will be out publicly on January 17th. But you know what happens on January 17th? The next episode comes out on Nebula, because now if you sign up go to nebula.tv/probablynotaliens, you can you can get episodes a week early now. Bam. Always be selling. I'm going to be the best Nebula converter. I'm gonna get the top prize.
Yeah, stay on the grind.
That's my hustle grind set, is just always be converting.
Always be converting to Nebula. I need to get better at doing that.
Mm-hmm. Me too. That's the name of the game this year, everybody. Okay. Next question we got here seems like it's designed to call us out specifically.
Oh, perfect. So Star Trek.
Yeah. Why have really, really long videos been increasing and more successful in the past year and a half on YouTube? Although I think this is a reference to like Quentin review levels of long and not like... So when I first asked about these half a year ago, the longest I knew was 8 hours, but now there are 11-hour videos and a whole wave of videos somehow doing well despite going above 2 hours.
It's going well because it's a wonderful glitch in the system for how you can do it. Because if you have a super long video, the odds of a person who's watching the video and who's actually interested in the topic aborting watching the video and going to do something else, which is almost guaranteed to happen if the video is like half a day long, like you have to like go to the toilet, have lunch, stuff like that. Then you come back to watch the video to finish it. That's another view.
Yeah.
And then you do that, and like maybe that happens like 5 or 6 times while watching a video, probably more, because like you see something else, maybe you see a shorter video that you want to watch like in between. Maybe there's a good opportunity for like play a game on a break, and then you come back, and then you just do that over like. Mm-hmm. So it's a good way to sort of milk. It's a good way to milk more views out of individual viewers, and it's also good to like extend the watch time as much as possible, because the YouTube algorithm doesn't care that much if you're watching like about the percentage of how you're watching it. So if you're watching 100% of a video that is a minute long, or you're watching 50% of a video that's 4 minutes long, that 50% is kind of more important because you're getting more minutes watched.
Yeah. And
that is good for the algorithm.
It's engagement. I'll say there's another couple things to say about why things have gone this way. First of all, YouTube implemented the chapters feature, which basically on a long enough timescale will basically kill multi-part videos. So a lot of those like multi-hour videos might have been multi-part videos in the past, but are now just under one thing because multi-part videos were annoying. And so I think we're better off without them, and the chapters really make it easy to pick up where you left off. Second is that YouTube is basically TikTok. So TikTok has basically eaten YouTube's lunch when it comes to the total amount of time that people spend looking at their phones. There was a time in the past where YouTube was the thing that people watched on their phone, and it's becoming less and less the case. And the place that YouTube's moving into now is into televisions, as there's more and more smart TVs, because TikTok doesn't really go on TV. So longer and longer videos make more sense if you are watching something on a television, because you're not switching around videos as much. So they're trying to get like longer things with a sort of longer retention span, because retention is a lot lower when you're watching on YouTube, or when you're watching YouTube on television. So TV has sort of become king. And you can actually see, looking at our analytics, that the amount of people watching on their phones has been going down, but the amount of people who've been watching on their TVs has been going up. That makes sense. I watch a lot of YouTube on my TV.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, because it's like you say, then like because they've also implemented like YouTube Shorts as a way to sort of like recapture the phone aspect. But like you're not watching shorts on the TV, right? So they're very much like dividing into sort of like long form content and phone content, which is the shorter content. Even though I have no idea how successful the YouTube Shorts are. I don't think they're super successful, because they were a lot more pushed by YouTube a few months ago, and now they're like around.
They're still making an effort at it, but I think overall it's a smarter idea, because it means that a lot of stuff that we're sort of like, first of all, watching a YouTube video on the bus was kind of annoying because just tiny screen and you can't really see a lot of what's going on. And like,
Yeah.
Oftentimes even a 10-minute video when you're out and about on your phone is too long given the random interruptions and stuff that would come up. So, and also, you have podcasts if you want something more long form like that doesn't require you looking at your phone. Anyways, the television thing is just a smarter idea, and I think it works more for the platform. So that's generally why. I don't know why people are going 11 hours. Sometimes I know that that's specifically calling out Quentin, because Quentin just is insane and he just makes longer and longer videos just to prove that he can. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't watch videos like that because I don't have the energy or the time to do it.
Yeah, I can't.
Like I have shit to do. You know what I mean? Like I'm not watching an 8-hour-long video. Quentin.
Yeah, my take is now if a video is over 2 hours, it has to be on a subject that I am very, very into, or it has to be released by H-Bomber Guy. Those are the only two things I can do. So if anybody but Harry makes a 2-hour plus long video, I have to be like this is already a subject I know I'm gonna like. So. And the other thing too is that this is also an artifact of
video.
One of the most successful YouTube videos or genre of YouTube videos is people doing live streams and just putting up recordings of live streams. Because it turns out if you just play video games in an entertaining fashion as your career, you can put out 11 hours of video content very easily.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't have any free time anymore. So now my but then an H-Bomber Guy video comes out and it's one of those things where like, okay, well, there's my day. I guess I'm not doing any work this afternoon because I have to watch this 3-hour video about the Roblox oof. So.
Like those videos aren't even that super long because like his longest video is like three and a half. Yeah, like Deus Ex. That's a long ass video.
Yes.
But like the Roblox oof is a 2-hour video. Like comparatively to like 8 or 11 hours, 2 hours is nothing. You know what I mean? Like I don't think that I would watch Harry if he made a video that like even Deus Ex Human Revolution, which is like 3.5 hours long. Even that is like I don't know. Like I'll put that on if I need to have like an ADHD stimulation thing, but that's it.
See, I'm pathetic, and I remember when that video came out, and I remember I watched the entire thing in one day, and I have never played Deus Ex. I don't think I ever will. It's not my kind of game, but Harry you can just grab my brain in weird ways, and so I don't know. But you gotta be.
But Harry is also. He's good at keeping you engaged, and I don't think that can be the case for like all YouTubers who make like 8-hour-long content because like I will lose interest in like Harry is really engaging and really good at making YouTube videos. I will lose interest after 2 hours. I don't understand how some people make it longer. Mm-hmm. Like to me, it doesn't compute.
Yeah, I might not have watched the Deus Ex video the day it came out all in one sitting if it wasn't for the fact that was basically an afternoon that I was watching the baby and I couldn't really do anything else. So the baby has seen a lot of Harry videos. Like I remember that I was with him when I was watching the anti-vax video.
Classic.
Yeah. Oh, that's a very fun fact. The baby got his he got the autism vaccine now on early this week.
Oh, fun.
The MMR vaccine, the one that the people think that all the autism's hiding inside. So
yeah, that'll be fun.
Somebody, what's it called? I said on Twitter, like my son got the vaccine, the one that hid all the autism inside, and someone's like, I'm looking forward to your like autistic trans daughter queen, and I'm like, yep, that's about right. We'll see what Paradox game I start her on.
Yeah, see, I can't say that because like I know you and you are a personal friend, but yeah.
It's all what's it called?
It's a risk to get them to play Paradox games though because you're putting them down a life path that is either trans woman or like Nazi. Yeah.
There are two wolves inside of you. Yeah, there was this one thing that was like there's a YouTuber named Hey It's Kara. I don't know if you know her.
Mm-hmm. I've heard, yeah.
And she does Paradox content and talked about how did a whole video about why are there no women playing Paradox games? Just like there's tons. They're all trans women, but yes, don't even pretend.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all trans women and they're all on Twitter.
Yeah. It's like if you ever strike up a random conversation with any random trans woman, Paradox game are not a terrible stab in the dark for a common conversation topic.
Legitimately though, the developers know about this, which I think is really fun.
Excellent.
Like they know that they have a small but dedicated trans women community, and they don't know why. Probably because their games are really appealing if you have geography autism, which I do.
There's a specific I think it's a couple overlaps of things, which is and yeah, you could tell this is going into sort of looking at the Venn diagram of things, and that is that people with ASD are definitely overrepresented in the Paradox game community because it does appeal to sort of that war thing, but also the management and all the sort of a lot of very high hits on the special interest hot chart for a lot of people with ASD. Yeah. And there's not really an answer as to why this is, but there is also a high prevalence of ASD in trans women, and so that I think overlapping together is sort of maybe why.
But here's the thing, though, because the meme is about trans women, but autism is prevalent among all trans people.
That's true.
So, where are the trans men who play Hearts of Iron 4? What feminine quality exists in the Paradox games that appeals specifically to trans women? That's what I don't understand.
Someone should do a study. That's the right way to answer that, right? What's it called? I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna apply for a master's in anthropology, and my anthropology study is going to be trans women Paradox game community and talk about it. I feel like that would be a legitimately good dissertation.
It would be. I would read it.
The Paradox game channel is a channel called Hey It's Kara, and she's a Paradox YouTuber. She's very interesting because she came to Paradox games because somebody said to her that Crusader Kings was like The Sims, and that's how she crossed over. And I was like, that's just the least expected connective tissue I would think to how somebody would find a game like the Paradox, the Paradox family of games.
They're kind of right though. They're not wrong. It's kind of like The Sims.
Yeah. It is. It's not wrong. I just think it's a way that I'm like, oh, I did not even think of it that way. And it makes sense because my wife plays Paradox games, and the only one she likes is the Crusader Kings games.
Less.
Kara spelled Cara. Okay. Ooh.
They have an A to Z in Victoria too. That's fun.
All right, let's see how this one goes. Out of all of the countries in Scandinavia, which one has the most left-wing government?
Oh. Not us.
Are you going to have to praise another Scandinavian country? I don't know if you're biologically capable of doing that.
Shit, I don't know. I mean, it's probably Finland. Probably.
I mean, their prime minister had a naked party, so that seems kind of left-wing to me.
Yes.
Why do you have pronouns on
I don't know. It's probably Finland. I think Finland? It's not the most left wing. It's just kind of center leftish. But I don't, because Norway. I don't know what the fuck Norway's doing. Norway government. Norway.
What's Norway up to these days? All the way over.
What's Norway up to?
Probably making.
I have no idea who's in charge of Norway right now. I I guess it could be Norway. Their
Who's
Labour
in charge
Party
of
is in
Norway?
charge.
It's probably Denmark these days.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see if we can get. We have 15 minutes left of our turbo streams. Let's see if we can get.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I think it's Finland. I think because it ain't us, and I don't feel any shame praising Finland because Swedes hate every other Scandinavian country except for Finland.
Makes sense.
Because we are brother countries.
Yeah. Plus what's it called? The prime minister having a sex party sounds based.
Objectively based, yes.
Yes. All right. What are your thoughts on the new pink wave in South America and the quick response of Brazil to the Bolsonaristas' attempted coup?
Good.
The coup is funny because like their thing is like we're gonna do it January 6th, but then they attacked the government buildings when they were like empty, and the only thing they did was beat a horse to death.
They just walked around. Like they broke into a bunch of buildings and just walked. Like, what did you expect would happen?
And furthermore, on top of that, like Bolsonaro was in fucking Florida eating KFC.
Who's eating KFC?
Turns out if you want to do a coup, you should probably have your dictator in the country somewhere, and also not just have eating KFC. And you should probably, if you want to overthrow the government, you should probably storm the Capitol when the people who work there are actually there, and not just like.
If you want to overthrow the government, you have to actually find the government.
Mm-hmm. And the pink wave is the sort of wave of socialist governments that's been popping up around South America, and that is pretty sweet.
It's good.
It is good. I'm hoping, because Lula had some like big ambitions of basically like anti-Monroe doctoring Latin America, and that would be interesting because it might mean that in the next few years, the U.S. is all of a sudden going to be very interested in the freedom of the people living in South America, which is, it's been a while since the U.S. has just like dropped troops in like, in countries like usually like, or in South America.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes, but it's definitely encouraging, and we'll see, because I know that Lula wanted to move to a South American pan currency that would keep it that would basically stop all these countries from being dependent on American dollars to maintain themselves. But that would definitely be like a Brazil is developing weapons of mass destruction type move. So who knows what's going to happen. These are the countries that America invaded to protect a fucking fruit company. So, the bar is low for things that they will do terrible things to Latin America for. But I'm cool.
Yeah. The idea that Brazil is turning like pretty left wing too is I'm very like, it's pretty good because Brazil is very like an economic powerhouse. So it's going to be interesting to see like how that's like it's very momentous in that sense.
Especially because we're at a sort of point in climate change where Brazil and the preservation of the Amazon is like a very key important moment right now. And the fact that Bolsonaro was in charge was very troublesome for the longevity of air on Earth.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. Overall, though, like, Heiko is like Chile that recently got like a kind of left-wing leader, although I've been hearing is a bit disappointing. But like it's good. It's good. And I hope that all of Lula's dreams come true. I'm Bugs Bunny wishing Lula a very happy whatever he wants to do to fuck over American imperialism. And
can't wait.
They can't turn every the US media can't turn every South American country into Venezuela. They can try.
They're going to try, yeah.
They can find the Pete Buttigieg or Juan Guaido in every single country and get them to declare themselves president despite not running. But, you can only get so far. What's it called? Venezuela was another example of like Cuba, where like they put all these like economic sanctions and boycotts and then like choke them to death and being like, why aren't you breathing? Why is your economy bad just because we're trying to choke you out of existence? This is weird.
Yeah.
It's like
I have been advised by my political party to not make political statements about Venezuela.
oh boy. Okay, I will move on then.
So I'm quiet on this one.
Okay.
Because like there's I'm in a position now where like if I say controversial shit, like there is a risk that like Swedish right wingers are gonna like clip it and then
Yeah.
it's gonna be like a thing.
All right.
So,
Immediately going to Ukraine takes.
imperialism is bad.
Yeah. So immediately Ukraine takes and Turkey takes. Let's go.
That's fine. Fuck Turkey. Fuck Erdogan. I can talk as much shit there as I want.
I will give you a secret. The podcast that is making me the most smart lately is Radio War Nerd. Have you ever heard of this podcast?
I have not.
It's absurdly good. Like, it is the best geopolitics podcast in the world right now, I think.
Radio War Nerd.
Yeah. It's an absurdly good podcast. It has a terrible name, but it is an amazing podcast. Because it also is it's run by two people who are like military dorks, but they're also like they just know geopolitics really, really well. And they did a whole thing where they were talking about how a lot of people have been saying, like, you know how like like Israel gets like a bunch of this, like, I'm not gonna you don't have to comment on this, don't worry, but Israel gets like a lot of like leeway from the US and gets to do whatever it wants, and they're like, you know, you could make the case that that's more Turkey than Israel. Turkey gets away with so much more from the US now because Turkey is basically playing Russia and America against each other and like a key strategic ally and like a cornerstone of NATO, and always been a long American. Yeah, it's
yeah. Turkey's playing kingmaker in a lot of things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of people. It makes a lot of countries have to have extremely strong opinions about the YPG that you wouldn't think they would have.
I know, right? It's weird. Suddenly, everyone has to form a very strong opinion about the PKK and the YPG.
Yeah.
Like groups that most people hadn't even heard about a year ago.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Oh, good. When Mia is here. What state/territory in both of your countries is the one that everyone hates on the most, whether for valid or pointless reasons?
Skåne.
Which one?
It's a place called Skåne. It's the southern tip of the country.
And
Scania.
Why does everyone hate them?
Because they're all racist farmers who speak a very strong dialect that is basically Swedish and Danish mixed. Because that part of Sweden used to belong to Denmark for like hundreds and hundreds of years, and then we took it, and they still haven't learned to speak properly.
I can see a little bit of this coming out. Canada.
No, but like, and they have weird food. They have something called spit cake, which is where you have a big spit that you rotate slowly, and you drizzle melted sugar on top of it, and you just keep spinning it, and you end up with this like basically like cardboard textured cake, and it's awful, and I hate it, and it's a garbage place. I'm kidding, it's actually a very wonderful place, but like that is the part that our country hates.
Canada has it's very unique in this case, which is that Canada is an extremely decentralized country, and it means that every part of the country hates every other part of the country. I'm from the major territories, I would say, is the western provinces hate all of the provinces that are east of Manitoba, especially Ontario, but especially Quebec, but especially Ontario, but especially Quebec. The Maritimes also especially hates Ontario and especially hates Quebec. And I'm just realizing what it is. Everyone hates Ontario and Quebec. Those are the two that are hated the most. Quebec because it is a different nation within the same country and does a lot of political troll moves to ensure its own cultural and political independence within the country. And some people have interpreted that as them getting a bunch of special stipulations because the Constitution has a bunch of stuff that gives them, a bunch of veto power and stuff like that because they're an independent nation within the country. The other is Ontario, because Ontario is the most populous province that has Toronto, so it has all of the money, and very often we get branded as being thinking that we are the center of the entire country. And there's another, and it's mostly because Ontario basically decides every election. Because we're represented by population, but we don't have a evenly spread population. Basically, Ontario and Quebec decide every single federal election. And it's close enough that it very often comes down to, between the Liberals and Conservatives, it comes down to one specific region, which is the suburbs around Toronto, which is where I grew up. So basically, however the 905 goes is basically what decides like most federal elections. And, people don't like that. And like Alberta doesn't like Ontario and Quebec because we try to pass laws to curb climate change, which puts a cork in their desire to turn all of the matter, like to basically like a paperclip maximizer, turn all matter on Earth into either tar sand or pipe that is piping oil out of tar sand. Those are the only two.
Those are the ones who believe in the asphalt Earth theory, right?
What's
they
this?
want to? It's called Pave the Earth. It's a satirical group that want to make the Earth into a smooth ball of asphalt so you can drive very quickly everywhere.
Nice. Yeah,
I feel like that's basically Alberta.
Alberta basically has it's a province that is singular. It's like a lot of countries that have a disease that a certain Dutch country once had, where their entire economy is focused around a single commodity with a very fluctuating price, and they basically try to manipulate and focus all of their political and social will about maximizing the production of that one product. And that product happens to be petrol. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that, and also it's a kind of petrol that is very expensive, and you have to pay a lot of, like, only if it's, like, what's it called? Only if it only is profitable if oil is expensive. So they're very into all of our things being focused on oil production, and that is the only thing the Canadian economy should be focused on at all times, is oil production from Alberta specifically. And like they don't care how, if the planet, if the human race has to go extinct so that the oil can keep coming out of the thing, they will do that.
Oh yeah, so be it.
Yeah. And like to the point where now there's like a reasonable amount of people considering seceding from Canada just so that they can not have to deal with a carbon tax or anything like that. It's awful. But that is, but yeah, so, this is me. This is the Ontario guy talking about how much, what's it called? Alberta pisses me off. So, and I've lived in Ontario and Quebec. So the most hated region of Canada is just me specifically, someone who has lived in Ontario and Quebec. All right. Albexit. No, the term they used was Wexit, because they were going to try to convince Saskatchewan and British Columbia to join them, and possibly Manitoba. Because the other thing is that they wanted to separate, and Alberta is a landlocked province. It's a landlocked province that's shaped like a rectangle. So you could just imagine what that would look like some sort of paradox map.
I hate that. You can't have border gore in real life.
Yeah. It's basically like driving Bangladesh and India's like foreign relations problems, is that they have border gore that they have to deal with. But yeah, look at like the shape of Alberta and imagine that being an independent country on the map of North America. It would be an eyesore.
And yeah, Alberta is such a garbage shape.
Yeah, it doesn't even finish. Isn't even a complete rectangle. 0 out of 10. So that was the stream today. Finishing off with a strong one. Is there where should people go to watch all of your cool stuff? That's what we should do now. Is talk about the importance of consuming Mia content. Where would you like to convert people to Nebula through?
You should go to nebula.tv/Mia Mulder. Watch my videos on nebula.tv. Or curiositystream.com/Mia Mulder for a discount on both CuriosityStream and Nebula for less than $15 a year. It's a steal. You can find my YouTube videos on miamulder.com, and you should listen to Leechfest, which is the medical history podcast that I do, which I think is very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do it up.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, sorry for the short stream. I gotta go get my emergency haircut, but let's find a good raid target. Does Lumiru allow? Let's do Lumi. Lumi's always good people. All right, everybody. It's been real. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. I'm going to go get a haircut. Mia's going to go do cool stuff. Go have Friday night. And you guys, peace out.